Tonight on the 5 o'clock report, 3 are confirmed dead following a plane crash in Seward. NTSB and Alaska State Troopers are investigating. Hundreds soaking up the sun in Anchorage today. We'll take you to the 2019 Solstice Festival. Plus, the Swan Lake fire continues to grow in size. We'll tell you why the fire isn't all that bad and how it's helping the environment.
You're watching KTUU Channel 2 Anchorage, Alaska's news source. And now, the 5 o'clock report, weekend edition.
A recovery operation underway following the latest fatal plane crash to occur in Alaska, this one taking place southeast of Seward. Alaska State Troopers received reports of the crash around 6 p.m. yesterday. Channel 2's Hank Davis joins us with details.
Hi, Kristen. Well, we're still working to get details on that crash. Alaska State Troopers, the National Transportation Safety Board, and the FAA are all currently involved in the investigation into what went wrong. Now, before the arrival of the rescue team, a commercial helicopter from Seward landed at the scene of the crash and confirmed no sign of life. According to a trooper dispatch, the pilot of the Helio Courier has been identified as 63-year-old Kim Sibbett, who is 63 years old, out of Fairbanks. Troopers report that there were 2 adult passengers also aboard the aircraft. They have not been positively ID'd at this time. Alaska State Troopers say that the private plane crashed on land. The NTSB is at the scene conducting that investigation. This is the 5th fatal plane crash to occur in Alaska in 2019. That brings the total number of related fatalities to 13. Back to you.
All right, thanks so much, Hank. Time for a first look at the forecast. Meteorologist Howie Gordon is in for Tracy. How are things looking outside today, Howie?
Thanks, Chris. We saw a high today of 63 degrees. Our pattern is starting to shift, but you wouldn't think so with high pressure moving in, because look at some of these storms actually that are really allocated to the higher mountain elevations. A lot of that green you're also seeing is a return from the radar from ground level being the mountains. But later on, as our atmosphere is heated up, it's destabilizing or unstabilizing the atmosphere as the sun heats us up. Yes, looking at a few showers here and there, but for the most part, those are in some of the higher mountain elevations. Tonight, going to drop down to 56 degrees with increasing clouds. So mostly cloudy. We're pretty much partly cloudy to mostly cloudy now. Overnight tonight, mostly cloudy. But looking ahead, over the next few days, yes, we're going to see a weather pattern switch. Some of these temperatures, very nice. Kristen might think she's back in New Orleans with some of these temperatures, highs in the mid to upper 70s. But yes, we're looking at a weather pattern switch. We'll talk more about that in a little bit, Kristen.
Beautiful. I can just close my eyes and pretend I'm home.
Yep.
Thanks so much, Howie. Celebrating the summer solstice in the land of the midnight sun. It's a long-time tradition for Alaskans, and the city of Anchorage takes full advantage of the extra daylight to fit in as much fun as possible.
Just kind of walk around, enjoy the music and stuff. That sounds fun. Yeah. I want to do the kayaks, the acting for sure.
Every year, the Downtown Solstice Fest transforms 4th Avenue into a giant party to commemorate the longest day of the year. There's a whole lot of food and plenty of fun with local art, music, and games for the kids. And of course, what better way than to celebrate than with throwing axes? The Solstice Fest has it all, and for some, it's growing into as much of a tradition as the Iditarod start or for Rondi.
Oh, I mean, it's 24-hour sun here, you know, it's all the time, so we just have to celebrate what we have here in Alaska, and the kids like to get out. We've been here every year for about 4 or 5 years now, so we know we're coming down here every year.
The festival is about to wrap up. Things will shut down at 6 p.m. today, but thankfully, you've still got around 5 hours and 45 minutes of daylight to get outside and celebrate. Well, the Swan Lake fire has grown to more than 20,500 acres with anywhere from 2,000 to 3,000 acres of growth a day. Hundreds of firefighters have been working tirelessly over the past few weeks to protect the community of Sterling, while also letting part of the fire run its course across the Kenai National Wildlife Refuge. Yesterday evening, fire officials updated residents at a community meeting, letting them know the fire is still under control. Sam Harrell with the Alaska Interagency Management Team explains why fire is an important part of the natural environment.
Our black spruce, which is very conducive to fire, it's because black spruce needs that fire to mature its cones and open its cones so that then it can seed and spread itself. It's what it needs to sustain its life cycle. And so it's an important part of the life of black spruce. Granted, a fire will come through and it'll come back with grasses and brush and shrubs and eventually evolve over time into a healthy stand of black spruce again.
Now, the Kenai Peninsula Borough Office of Emergency Management has opened a call center to serve people seeking information about the Swan Lake fire. It'll be staffed from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. That phone number is 262-INFO. The Kenai Peninsula Borough also has made an interactive map available to those concerned about the fire, and that link is available at kpboem.com. Well, this morning, a sea of runners gathered for the 46th Mayor's Marathon and Half Marathon.
3, 2, 1.
About 3,000 participants from across 48 states and 14 countries spent the sunny day getting sweaty in Anchorage. Paul Rodich returned to defend his crown from last year, winning in just under 2.5 hours. And Maureen Dussert came in first place for the women, running her very first marathon in 3 hours and 5 minutes.
Today's race was really good. I mean, the course is really good, a little bit tough, but it's manageable. And the spectators were really awesome. The volunteers were doing a great job. So it was generally really good.
On my mind, I was like, I hope I can be top 3, but I never run a marathon, and I never really run a half marathon either. So I really had no idea what to expect. And I was kind of tired halfway, but some guys passed me, and I was like, I'm gonna just try to keep up with him. And suddenly I went faster and I felt better.
Caroline Kurgat took home the win for the half marathon, coming in right under an hour and 15 minutes and set a new course record. Alaska's very own unique Tyrannosaur Nanukosaurus is roaring back to life this summer at the University Center Mall. Today kicked off the 10th annual Alaska Paleo Project. The Alaska Paleo Project is an annual public exhibition of large-scale Alaskan paleo works in progress by artist James Havens. Visitors to the exhibit can learn about new Alaskan dinosaur discoveries being made right here in Alaska. The exhibit is open starting today until Saturday, June 29th from 12 p.m. to 4 p.m. Admission is free. The Wasilla High School Band has won money to update their aging music equipment. Last month, we brought you the story of the band students entering the Barry Manilow Music Contest. Well, Wasilla came in 4th place out of dozens of schools that entered across the country, scoring them $10,000. Wasilla High School band teacher Jackie Johnson says it's been at least 20 years since any new equipment or materials were purchased for the band. Well, they buzz, they bumble, they pollinate our plants and make valuable contributions to our environment. And to celebrate them, June 17th through 23rd is National Pollinator Week.
So this area below in the middle of the frame, like right in here, if you can see the cells, they're full of nectar.
Local beekeepers say the bees here in Alaska are busy this time of year gathering pollen from native plants and flowers, but the Alaska bee population faces a challenge. As we delve deeper into summer and try to ward off mosquitoes, that spray is also fatal to bumblebees. If a yard is sprayed for mosquitoes and the bees bring the pesticide back to the hive, a majority of them could die.
They're gathering up dead bees and dead colonies and trying to get them tested to try to make the connection between that spraying and the loss of those bees. But at this time of year, you shouldn't have thousands of dead bees in front of your hive. There's lots to eat and the weather's good.
Tazi says you may see swarms of bees around town over the next few weeks. He says the best thing to do is give the bees their space and call a local beekeeper by searching for one on Facebook. Well, still to come on the 5 o'clock report, President Donald Trump put out a tweet today saying he will delay mass deportation raids set for Sunday. Plus, 11 people are dead after a small skydiving plane crashed near an airfield on Oahu's North Shore.
And now, Alaska's #1 news team. This is Channel 2 News.
9 people died when a small skydiving plane crashed Friday evening on the Hawaiian island of Oahu. The twin-engine plane had 9 people aboard when it crashed around 6:30 local time. Police said the plane was fully engulfed in flames when first responders arrived at the scene near Dillingham Airfield. It was unclear whether the plane was taking off or landing when it crashed.
In my 40 years as a firefighter here in Hawaii, this is the most tragic aircraft incident that we had. We had some helicopters with the military, but this is a civilian plane that went down and with that many people on board.
So we first saw it when we was at Kinda Point taking pictures. We saw big smoke, but when we was driving this way, we saw big fire. Firemen trying to put it out. Crazy. From where I was, it's probably like shooting 15 feet in the air, probably 20 or so feet wide. It was kind of far. I was like 50 yards away and could still see it.
No one on the ground was injured. President Donald Trump says he's working on many things during his weekend at Camp David, and he even broke some news this afternoon. The president says a planned roundup and deportation of illegal immigrants set to begin tomorrow is now on hold. Before leaving Washington, the president also took a more relaxed tone about the ongoing conflict with Iran. NBC's Chris Pallone has a recap.
President Donald Trump said Saturday afternoon he's delaying a planned roundup of undocumented immigrants who had been ordered out of the country. The raid on approximately 2,000 families was set to start Sunday, but the president tweeted from Camp David he's delaying the action for 2 weeks, quote, to see if the Democrats and Republicans can get together and work out a solution to the asylum and loophole problems at the southern border. The president says congressional Democrats requested the delay, but Democratic Congressman and presidential candidate Eric Swalwell said Trump is governing as if he's still a reality show host.
He treats us like it's drama and theater. We got 10 minutes to war, almost 10 minutes within war of Iran last week. Then he backs off and now, puts all these families in fear and says it's not going to happen. I mean, how about he just doesn't create the mess in the first place?
Before leaving the White House, Trump struck a more measured tone while once again taking credit for stopping a strike against Iran he originally authorized.
Everybody was saying I'm a warmonger, and now they say I'm a dove. And I think I'm neither. You want to know the truth? I'm a man with common sense, and that's what we need in this country is common sense. But I didn't like the idea of them knowingly shooting down an unmanned drone, and then we kill 150 people.
The president insists he's open to negotiating with the Iranians after the nation shot down a pilotless U.S. military drone this week. He's seeking one outcome.
The fact is, we're not going to have Iran have a nuclear weapon. And when they agree to that, they are going to have a wealthy country. They're going to be so happy, and I'm going to be their best friend.
Despite the declining tensions with Iran, the president says military action remains an option. Chris Pallone, NBC News.
Howie will be up next with a preview of today's weather forecast. He says warm temps are on the way for South Central. We'll talk about these temps in just a few minutes.
Welcome back, everyone. About 16 minutes after the hour, second day of summer officially, even though summer's really been rolling since June took over on June 1st. We've had great weather. Let's take a look at our Eagle River camera. Yes, some clouds moving in as the sun heats our atmosphere up later on the day. Yes, we see a little moisture and cloud development. See a few sprinkles on the monitor as well. So let's go to our satellite radar. Now, some of this return you're seeing is in the higher mountain elevations, but now we're still looking at some energy moving down from the interior. We're really having high pressure starting to protect us, but not the high pressure that keeps everything out of the way, because we have low pressure energy really moving over the top of this high. So yes, we're seeing some energy, we're seeing some storms really allocated to the mountains, but as this warmer air pushes down from the north, from the interior, some of these storms could push further south into South Central as well. As we're seeing a little bit of drizzle here and there, just trace amounts. But now, as we look at the radar as a whole up in Fairbanks, yes, we're seeing some thunder showers, and some of those thunder showers, yes, could push down a little bit to the south. So here's a larger view, really high pressure starting to take over, but some of this internal energy, if you will, some storm energy still overshooting the top of this ridge, bringing us some clouds and some showers. So we have valleys, Talkeetna and Cantwell. We're looking at warm temps over the course of the next several days, going to melt high-level snow, high-level glaciers, low-level glaciers, and what is that going to do? It's going to push the Yentna River to bank full and possibly flooding. And then red flag warnings until midnight for the Middle Tanana Valley. Lightning activity with a level 4 southeast of Fairbanks could be exposed to thunderstorm activity. I just showed you that to north into Fairbanks, and that could impact, ample lightning could impact potentially creating numerous fires while we sit under that red flag warning until midnight tonight on Saturday. So let's look ahead over the next few days. So some of these storms, yes, overshooting into our high pressure. High pressure is going to control us for the most part. What is that going to do? It's going to push this warm energy, this warm air to the south. We're going to start to see temperatures in the mid to upper 70s, even coastal locations looking at temperatures in the 70s over the course of the next few days with mixes of clouds, mixes of sunshine. But we're going to see temperatures in the 80s in the interior, and some of those 80-degree temperatures can move down into south central. Looking ahead today over the next 8 to 12 hours. So clouds tonight, but early clouds tomorrow start to turn into mostly sunny skies with temperatures getting into the low, even potentially the middle 60s. So there's another look at our satellite. Some of these returns, yes, the mountains, but then we see a few showers developing as the sun heated us up during the day today, destabilizing the atmosphere, showing a few pop-up showers here and there. Nothing really on the heavy side, just some light drizzle for the most part, pop-up showers here and there, some heavier rain up there near Chickaloon. So lows overnight tonight, pretty much in the 40s and 50s throughout much of the state until you move all the way into the Arctic Circle on the Arctic coast, if you will. Temperatures dropping down into the 30s. Highs tomorrow, though, look at this, statewide, really pretty warm for the most part, unless, again, you move all the way north where temperatures could get stuck into the 30s. So in South Central for tomorrow, look at this warm up in 80 degrees over in Willow. Coastal locations even seeing 70-degree weather in the valley for tomorrow, getting close to 80 degrees, almost 80 degrees over in Saldana. So looking ahead over the next 7 days, or today, 74 degrees. But look at this warm trend that we're looking at. As I mentioned earlier, Kristen thinks she's back in New Orleans with these temperatures warming up into the mid to upper 70s, getting close to 80 degrees.
Been feeling a little bit like I've been back in New Orleans. I actually was feeling kind of hot yesterday for the first time here in Alaska.
No, sun hits us at lower angles, but now, I mean, it's been warm, it's been above average, but looking at a real warm up coming up as we saw.
All right, thanks, Howie. Up next on the 5 o'clock report, salmon get all the attention, but grayling are great too. In case you missed it, Grant Robinson tries to reel in some along the Denali Highway. There's great fishing all across the state right now. If you want to catch a lot of fish in one day, now is the perfect time to chase some Arctic grayling. In case you missed it, Channel 2's Grant Robinson takes us in on the action from the Denali Highway.
Catching Arctic grayling, the sailfish of the north, is a bucket list item for many fly fishing purists. We met Scott Lee with 49th State Fishing Excursions in Cantwell for some pointers. Get a drag-free drift, and your chances of catching a grayling are pretty good. Even though you can catch fish right by the road, we headed out under the midnight sun to somewhere around milepost 82 on the Denali Highway to a spot just a little more remote and somehow even more beautiful.
This is a Smoky Mountain Candy dry fly. It's a real popular pattern back in East Tennessee for rainbow and brook trout, so I'm gonna give it a go and see how the little Arctic grayling like it.
It worked, as did just about any other buggy-looking dry fly. After 2 of my dry flies were beaten up from catching so many fish, I tied on a nymph and used a tight line nymphing technique. Master this technique, and you'll catch more fish than you can imagine. For the Fishing Report on Denali Highway, I'm Grant Robinson.
Well, it looks like Grant and Derek had a blast there. Whether fishing for grayling, trout, or salmon, it's best to be prepared. Here's the Channel 2 Weekly Fishing Report.
Eklutna tail race is excluded from any emergency orders, so check it out this weekend for some great king salmon fishing. Try using a spinner or bait and bobber for best success. Recently stocked lakes to check out in the valley include Barley, Brocker, Carpenter, and Farmer Lakes. And why not spend summer solstice weekend floating Montana or Willow Creeks for rainbow trout? You will have daylight for a great day trip. The Slam and Salmon Derby going on at Ship Creek ends Sunday, and the Kings are doing very well down there. Lots of prizes and benefits go to the downtown soup kitchen. Both lures and bait have been catching fish. Rainbows have been stocked all around Anchorage, including Campbell and Chester Creek, DeLong Lake, Jewel Lake, and Sand Lake. Some dry flies at Little Campbell Lake would make a great weekend activity. This weekend, there is a king salmon youth-only fishery from June 21st through the 23rd at Seward Lagoon and Outfall Stream. Single hook, artificial lures, and bait are legal. Wild and hatchery king salmon are doing well in the Ninilchik River, but double-check the adipose fin and emergency bag limits before removing from the water. Due to great escapement, Russian River bag limits have been raised a second time, now allowing up to 9 sockeye.
Here's the viewer-submitted Catch of the Week, brought to you by Microcom and Dish. Dish tuned into you. If you think your catch has what it takes to make Catch of the Week, go to ktuu.com and submit today.
A Montana family woke up to find an unwelcome visitor on Friday.
There was a black bear that had somehow gotten into the house's mudroom and locked himself inside. Once inside, the bear burglar began ripping the room apart once it realized it couldn't get out.
No, it eventually gave up, trying to force his way out, and climbed onto the top shelf of a closet to fall asleep. Armed with a tranquilizer gun, wildlife officials removed the bear and returned him to the wild. That is, I don't know, what would you do if you saw something like that sitting in your
I don't know. I mean, when a cat and dog surprised me, I'm like, whoa, so a bear was in the house? I don't know. At least he wouldn't. At least he wasn't harmed. But
Right.
yes.
Real quick before we go.
Oh yeah. Look at this. Mid to upper 70s. I think we'll break it into the 80s later on in the week. So summer just hit yesterday. It's heating up.
Thanks for joining us on the 5 o'clock report.
And now, the 5 o'clock report, weekend edition.
Good evening. For many who were hoping this weekend would be an official start to summer fun, you might have been disappointed. Another rainy day in South Central. Tracy Sinclair joins us with a look at what we can expect for our Memorial Day.
Well, Kristen, we did have some heavy rain today around the region, particularly in Prince William Sound, but Anchorage and the Valley, we also got our fair share. In fact, with the rain today, it makes us the rainiest May here in Anchorage that we have on record. Check out that big swath of rain that has been pushing through South Central today. Anchorage has seen more than a half an inch of rain, actually about 7/10 of an inch since midnight, as one of the rainiest spots in the region as of today. Now, tomorrow is, of course, Memorial Day, where we honor those who died while on active duty. If you are going out to one of the events, look for drier weather, a few sunny breaks in the afternoon, and temperatures into the upper 50s. Turning our attention to tonight, Skycam 2 is showing the pond over at Cuddy Family Park. Even the ducks think it is too wet to be outside. And Kristen, this weekend is where many Alaskans plant their gardens. I'll have that forecast coming up in a few minutes.
All right, thanks so much, Tracy. 300 flags, crosses, and poppies are the way these groups honor our fallen military members this Memorial Day weekend.
I think it's important to honor them, and I am very proud of American Legion Post 1 to have this project that we can honor the people in this particular cemetery.
At the downtown cemetery this morning, the rain didn't stop the American Legion, VFW, and the Boy Scouts from seeking out the final resting places of over 300 fallen heroes and placing a flag and cross with a poppy near the headstones. Over the years, the organizations have researched and located the graves of veterans, and they say this memorial is just a small token to show their gratitude for those who made the ultimate sacrifice.
Well, I figure that the people, the veterans that have died here, gave their selves and possibly their lives for their country, and now they're here resting in peace. And I think it's the least we can do to come out here on a rainy day like this and place some flags and celebrate them a little bit.
The group will be back late Monday evening to pick up the flags and get them ready for next year. After several days of dwindling fire activity, high winds overnight caused the Oregon Lakes fire to spread. The fire spread along the western perimeter, but did not spread northbound. Transportation and observation flights were canceled Saturday because of the high winds and increased smoke and fire. Crews are currently working to protect structures in 3 different communities, including Whitestone, South Bank, and Richardson Clearwater. Officials say they are working to get homeowners sprinkler kits with water pumps to help protect the threatened structures. Firefighters also say they're continuing to contact property owners to get permission to work on private lands. They're asking homeowners in that area that have not been in contact with them to do so by calling 208-254-1130. The town of Whittier celebrated its 50th birthday this week. With that half-century mark comes a tourist boom in the tiny town. Channel 2's Derek Mittemeyer joins us with more.
Kristen, in the words of Whittier Mayor Dan Blair, Whittier is on the map. The question is, can the town's limited infrastructure keep up?
We're just getting started. It's a signal for opportunity.
At the turn of the 21st century, the tunnel to Whittier opened up to both train and highway traffic, bringing the town out of a slumber.
We transition from a sleepy community that was served by the Alaska Railroad.
Mayor of Whittier, Dan Blair, says the next step is to build more infrastructure to accommodate growth.
The next component of that is to have some land to build some modern houses that aren't 70 years old.
But the city is in a three-way tug of war with the state and the Alaska Railroad over land use.
We have to get that worked out because ultimately that's where a lot of jobs and businesses will be able to serve that influx of people.
And with cruise ships like the Coral Princess and the newest addition to Whittier's fleet, the Bravest, bringing tourists to the gateway to the Prince William Sound.
So we just have this flood of boats, and we're working on dealing with that.
Still work to be done to welcome curious travelers to one of Alaska's quirkiest towns.
We're situated in one of the most beautiful places on the planet, and to be able to share that with visitors is a great thing.
Now, you heard mention of the newest addition to Whittier's fleet, the Bravest. Well, that ship has its own unique stories to tell, starting with being part of the evacuation on 9/11. We'll have that coming up tonight at 10. Kristen?
All right, thanks so much, Derek. Honoring those who served through education, the University of Alaska Fairbanks is offering to waive fees for local service members who will be deployed during the upcoming school year. This program came about after the announcement that Stryker Brigade Combat Team 25th Infantry Division will be deployed to Iraq later this year. The program is open to any active duty military members or a National Guard member that is stationed in Fairbanks who is deployed during the fall of 2019 and spring of 2020. Officials from the Mat-Su Borough have opened its landfill to residents looking to dispose of beetle-killed trees free of charge, and it might be the most effective way to simultaneously fight several growing problems. Channel 2's Hank Davis reports.
Hey, Kristen, this temporary program is going on now on an indefinite basis, and it's giving folks in the Mat-Su Valley a chance to prevent the spread of spruce beetles while lessening the risk of wildfires.
The beetles have been in this bark. Yeah, you can see, see where they've been in there. I leave trail.
Mat-Su Borough Assemblyman Jim Sykes has seen the effects of the current spruce beetle outbreak firsthand.
I haven't cut it out, but I think that's your spruce bark beetle.
These bugs are native to Alaska's forests, but in recent years they've spread rapidly. According to the state's Division of Forestry, the beetles have killed over 1 million acres of trees in Alaska. 600,000 of those acres are located within the Mat-Su Borough.
If they reproduce too much, that's when they start attacking the standing trees.
These dying trees pose threats as both falling objects and as fuel during the forest fire season. The borough is hoping to address both of those concerns with a temporary initiative.
The trees need to be cleared because the whole forest is at risk.
Their answer? Opening the central landfill and their 2 transfer sites for drop-off of beetle-killed trees free of charge.
By clearing space, by getting rid of the diseased trees, you can sometimes get a twofer where you clear your self-defensible space and lessen your own fire risk, and also cut down the number of diseased trees and, if possible, make use of them.
And residents are also welcome to pick up logs from each location. The beetle-killed trees are still usable as lumber or firewood. As of now, the borough hasn't provided a definite end date for their beetle kill fire hazard reduction initiative. But if you plan on disposing of your beetle-killed trees, then you need to know that logs over 4 inches in diameter must be cut to less than 8 feet in length. If you've got logs that are over 12 inches in diameter, those are going to have to be less than 4 feet long. Kristen?
All right, thanks so much, Hank. Still to come on the 5 o'clock report, a shark attack off the coast of Hawaii leaves tourists and locals shaken. We'll hear from a witness of the deadly attack. Plus, from devastating floods to deadly tornadoes, Oklahoma continues to suffer after several raging storms. A California man vacationing on Maui has died after he was attacked by a shark. A bouquet of flowers sits next to a shark-sighted sign placed on Ka'anapali Beach, where the man was attacked about 60 yards offshore on Saturday. Warning signs were placed along the beach, and officers were out on jet skis scanning the area to make sure no one gets in the water. Bystanders watched in horror when first responders brought the man to shore on a jet ski.
They pulled the man up. He looked unconscious when they transferred him to the other gurney, and we could see that they were trying to do CPR on him. But as we got closer, I saw some blood on his stomach, and then I got looking a little bit more, and his wrist, it looked like the skin on his wrist was just torn off. And then I got looking closer, and his entire left leg from his knee down was just missing.
Experts say Maui is the hot spot in the state for tiger shark bites, but without more information, it's difficult to know what kind of shark was involved in the attack. Floodwaters in Oklahoma have overtaken at least 1,000 homes and left 2 people dead. Omar Jimenez has the details on the impact across the state.
All Kent Bruce could do was stare. Knee deep in water, his home flooded.
I knew it was here, so I'm just speechless right now.
It's a familiar feeling for all too many across the plains and Midwest. Many places still recovering on the tail end of what's been a week that's brought deadly tornadoes, heavy rain, and life-saving water rescues.
It's important for us to maintain this series of dams because the water continues to flow in.
Lieutenant Colonel Adam Weiss is with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, and over the course of days, they've slowly had to increase the amount of water they release from the Tulsa area Keystone Dam to near historic levels, just to keep up with the high water.
Keystone Dam, which has been the focus point for us most of the time, has a release rate of approximately 250,000 cubic feet per second. If you do the math, that equates to approximately 1,000 school buses per second going through the dam.
Across the Tulsa area, more than 1,000 residents have been impacted by flooding so far.
Please pay attention because the weather can be fickle, as can the river. And obviously we're watching the levees very closely.
It's advice that applies across the state, the governor declaring a state of emergency for all 77 counties in Oklahoma. Just north of Oklahoma City, these homes are barely hanging on after flooding eroded the ground beneath them. And in Tulsa, this riverside neighborhood is now very much part of the river.
I walked to the end of the street and then everything's underwater, and I wasn't going to go wading through because I didn't know what I might step on.
The risks are still very real.
Even though the rain has stopped here, water that is falling north of us, that is falling upstream, is continuing to gather and continuing to funnel towards the areas here.
Which means more people could be affected and more homes like Bruce's.
Where do you go from here? Probably to higher ground.
And even more devastation in Oklahoma as a tornado ripped through a small town west of Oklahoma City late Saturday night, killing 2 people. This morning's rescue teams were still searching through the rubble in the town of El Reno. Daytime aerial video reveals the extent of the damage. The twister tore through a motel and mobile home park and tossed cars around like toys. Part of the motel's second story collapsed into a pile of debris. No word on how many people were in the motel when the twister hit. In addition to the 2 people who were killed, several people were taken to hospitals. The exact number was not immediately known. Well, Matanuska Electric Association is reporting nearly 900 people without power in the Chugiak area.
Now, we're not sure if this is weather related, but they do say that crews are en route, and we'll have the full forecast coming up next because the rain does eventually end tonight. That's some good news. I'll have that next. And good evening. Well, we got to see, you didn't get really to see the sun today, but there were a few breaks in the clouds. Then we did get that rain. Came through pretty heavy. As I said, for Anchorage, we are now the rainiest May on record. That goes back to 1952. We still got rain coming down out there tonight. For tomorrow, though, things dry up. They don't really warm up a lot, but they do dry up. So for tomorrow, if you are getting out and doing any of the events around Memorial Day, or maybe you're having a barbecue at your house, temperatures are only going to be into the upper 50s for our highs with those mostly cloudy skies. I still think we're going to see some sunny breaks in the afternoon, which is good timing. This is what we're looking at. It's the same one system that we've been dealing with. The center is down to the south, but that front has already pushed through the south central area and into the interior, and it's going to linger. So we've still got some rain around the North Gulf Coast. The system swings into western Alaska, so looking at some rain across the west coast for tomorrow. Check this out. In northern Alaska, it could be a mix of rain and snow. Not quite done with winter in parts of northern Alaska, particularly the coastal areas. Now, the interior, not really expecting to see any rain in the eastern interior in particular, where we are dealing with those red flag warnings, probably at least until Tuesday, when we'll get a little bit of rain coming through and then some spotty showers. Our best chance to see a little bit of sunshine here in the Anchorage area is probably going to be Wednesday before that next system moves in. Well, it is, you know, the gardening weekend of the year, and well, we've got a chance that over the next couple of days, I'm going to say tomorrow, you probably don't necessarily need to water because all the rain from today, but for the rest of the week, yes, and it looks like, as I said, Wednesday is our best day to get out. This is what it looks like tonight on our satellite radar. Rain around the southern coastal areas from south central, already building into the southwest as well, particularly for areas around Prince William Sound. More rain is expected to come through your area overnight tonight, but then you get at least a little bit of a break tomorrow. You can see how far this front is already pushed into the interior. One system through, another one coming in right behind it down in southeast. You've seen some sunshine today. Southern Panhandle, you're going to see more sun tomorrow. So we are still dealing with red flag warnings. We're going to add in a complicating factor. Not only do we have a red flag warning for these areas, we're also now dealing with a high wind advisory. Could see wind gusts in these areas to about 50 miles per hour. This is the current Oregon Lakes fire, and as we see, it is expanded just a little bit to the west because of those winds from yesterday. Fairbanks, 72 tomorrow, so a little bit cooler than today. That rain into the northwest. Also still seeing some rain showers down along the Aleutian Islands and Alaska Peninsula. Here in south central, mostly cloudy to cloudy skies. Some lingering showers in the morning around Valdez and Cordova. Cloudy skies and the Kenai Peninsula, your highs only to the upper 50s. We'll see probably mid to low 60s around Palmer and Wasilla with those mostly cloudy skies. Again, you could join Anchorage with a few sunny breaks. Upper 50s for Anchorage tomorrow. We finally get into the 60s on Tuesday. By Wednesday, I think we're going to see a little bit of sunshine briefly during the day, and then we're back into those mostly cloudy skies throughout the week, and temperatures dropping down a little bit into the upper 50s. So we've gone from above average just a little bit to just a little bit below average over the next few days, and our temperatures are expected to be into the mid 40s overnight. I bit the bullet and I left my strawberry plant out overnight, and it seemed to have survived. So things are going to start finally making their way into my garden.
At least the strawberries are okay,
That's
right? All right, up next on the 5 o'clock report, starting a new life in the same career field. In case you missed it, we'll introduce you to one woman from Rwanda escaping genocide and working as a CNA at Providence Hospital. In case you missed it, she fled Rwanda to escape genocide and become a refugee in Anchorage. Marie Mukambajuje trained at Providence Hospital to learn job skills and English. Channel 2's Sean Wilson brings us her story.
Today I need to take your blood pressure. It will be okay with you?
They get an opportunity to work at Providence, learn a skill, and also practice and develop their English skills.
My country was war, and then we have to move to Congo.
And with those skills, increase in English, increase in health literacy.
My country, I was a nurse. I went to school for nursing class, and I worked as a nurse for 6 years. But when I came here, I had too many barriers, I can say, because I have to learn English. This is the picture with my teacher, Linda.
And with that, Marie went on and got her certification as a nursing assistant.
I am so happy because it's like to go back to my career, because I like to work as a nurse with the people.
With the Providence mission, it's all about serving the poor and the vulnerable. And that's everybody who comes through our doors.
I will continue my education until I can become a nurse.
What I see is joy and pride.
The training is part of a partnership with Catholic Social Services Refugee Assistance and Immigration Services Program. Well, here's a look at what's ahead on the nightly news. New at 10 on the late edition, the newest addition to Whittier's fleet of cruise ships has a very interesting backstory. That's tonight at 10 on the late edition. And finally tonight, a Marine makes a surprise appearance at his children's school.
I love these stories, but it's the Marine in the end that gets the surprise himself from his son. Now, Gunnery Sergeant Ben Moore deployed in June of 2018 after Moore revealed his secret homecoming to his daughter and 10-year-old son during a school event. His other son, Jacob, showed off a new skill.
The 7-year-old son has cerebral palsy, and Moore hadn't witnessed him walking in person yet.
I saw it on a video around Christmas, but I haven't seen him myself walk yet.
The family plans to take a trip to Disney World now that Dad's home. You can never get enough of these kinds of stories.
Very sweet. Glad he's home. Let's go ahead and take a look at what we've got for tomorrow around the South Central area. Looking at your fast forecast, we are expecting a few showers around Prince William Sound to start the day. Anchorage, probably starting at about 50 degrees with mostly cloudy skies. For the afternoon, those showers start to wane away in some areas, though they'll pick up in the Kenai. And then for the Anchorage area, in the Matanuska and Susitna Valleys, highs in the upper 50s to low 60s in parts of town with mostly cloudy to cloudy skies and pretty consistent throughout the week. Best chance to see the sun this week will be on Wednesday.
All right, thanks for joining us for the 5 o'clock report. We'll see you back here tonight at 10. Have a great evening.
Well, it's a big health danger in the lower 48, and there are concerns it could eventually spread to Alaska.
A woman in Wasilla was diagnosed with Lyme disease 9 months ago after living with the disease for 7 years before realizing what was causing her symptoms.
Kelsey Wenberg sat down with Channel 2's Kristen Duran and shared her story about what it's like living with Lyme disease in this week's To Your Health.
Simple things we often take for granted, like getting out of bed, driving a car, or even walking the dog, are a daily struggle for people like Kelsey Wenberg who are living with Lyme disease.
Kelsey Wenberg was an active Alaskan woman.
I was a runner. I had just completed my first marathon.
Hey guys, I soaked a cup and a half of...
Living and enjoying life with her husband, loved traveling and had a stable job.
I had just been promoted.
Until she noticed her health start to plummet and her life began to change.
I started to get exhaustion and I was having really bad fatigue at work to where at lunchtime, by 2 o'clock, I was needing a nap.
Little did she know she was experiencing the beginning stages of Lyme disease.
I started getting heart palpitations. I had really bad just pain in my heart. I was having trouble breathing. And this is like 7 years into me seeing every doctor in Alaska trying to figure out why do I have these weird symptoms. And so I'd kind of just given up at that point.
And it would be 7 years before an official diagnosis.
I just kind of thought, well, maybe I'm dying. I just don't know what's going on.
Kelsey was diagnosed with depression, anxiety, ADD, and other illnesses before a striking, surefire sign of the tick-borne illness appeared.
I went into a doctor's office in Anchorage and I said, have you ever seen a rash like this? And they were like, sit down. I need you to just sit right there. I'm gonna go get a doctor. And she knew right away. She's like, that's a bullseye rash from Lyme disease.
Kelsey is one of 10 people on record living with Lyme disease in Alaska, a place where new tick species are increasing. The State Department of Health says all of these people contracted the disease out of state, but the recent spread of ticks in Alaska is being monitored. For now, Kelsey is living with a sense of relief that she finally knows what's been causing all of her erratic symptoms and getting by on what little energy she has with help from her husband and friends.
And you kind of have to push it in and then twist.
She's getting IV treatments twice a day, seeing a doctor in Seattle, and spending thousands of dollars a month on medication.
They all have for different things that I'm low in.
While Lyme disease might take a physical toll on her body, she's not letting it beat down her voice, and as she puts it, turning her mess into a message.
I just don't want people to be like where I was, not knowing what's wrong with you. And sorry. Unable to participate in your life anymore.
She now works on raising awareness with a strong support system to back her up.
While it's not an epidemic or a known epidemic in Alaska, Alaskans are suffering. And so that's where I thought I could help, is to kind of be an activist and get the word out there.
Cheers.
Thanks
positivity.
I've got a husband who's my rock and an amazing support network of friends who have been, wonderful. I've got a aunt with Down syndrome that I need to take care of, and most days I can't do any of that, and I look at her sometimes and think I have got to get better and get my energy back so that I can, get back into life.
Now, for people like Kelsey with chronic Lyme, there is no cure, but the disease can be easy to treat if it's caught very early on. Lyme disease is sometimes accompanied by a single bullseye rash, something Kelsey did not have or notice, but it's important to check your body for ticks or rashes after spending time outside. If you see a tick, save it to send it in for testing, and we'll have more information about this and Lyme disease on our website at ktuu.com.